Nigerian lawmakers have been divided over renewed calls for a return to the regional system of government. This is as the National Assembly begins another process of reviewing the 1999 Constitution. There have been calls in some parts of the country that since regionalism has been tested and discovered to be a system of government that can tackle the challenges of a heterogeneous nation like Nigeria, it should be reintroduced to solve the country's numerous challenges. While some senators spoke in favor of regionalism as a panacea to the problems of the country, others vehemently kicked against it. For this conversation, we now turn to first Baba Isa, a legal practitioner who will be speaking on the current division within the National Assembly, the Joint Constitution Review Committee on the proposed Constitution amendment to return Nigeria to regionalism. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us here at Newsday.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yes, a lot of conversation about a return to regionalism, a practice from a couple decades, centuries ago. What is your take on, first of all, this discussion that's happening?
Well, basically, it's a discussion that we should have, we should welcome. It's a sign that we're trying to look for a solution to a myriad of problems, development problems, insecurity, economic problems. So it's a conversation that we expect to see our legislators have, and I think I commend such a conversation. However, let me begin by saying that regionalism, or regional system of government, is a system we have tested before, we have tried before, and is a system of government that has its merits and demerits, just like federalism has its merit and demerits. In fact, at times, the proponents of regional system of government talk about regional system of government as if it solved all our problems when it was in play in Nigeria, but that's not the case. In fact, why we left the regional system of government is because we were trying to experiment with another system that would solve the problems that bedeviled the regional system of government. Now, one of the problems that I can remember vividly that bedeviled the regional system of government is the minority being marginalized, the minority not being carried along, the minority not participating in governance and in the government that is set up for them. So that is why we moved away from the regional system of government to a federal system of government where it engenders more participation. From every nook and cranny we have, like in my state, my local government, just 2 local government, we have a House of Rep member, 5 local government, we have a senator. So it engenders that participation. You go to the State House of Assembly, my local government just has 1 member and all of that. But in regionalism, this participation is not this widespread. It is not this, everybody doesn't participate. This large number don't participate in regionalism. So we should get that straight. We should not be running away from one system to the other instead of trying to better the system that we have at the moment. This is the problem, to digress, that we have with even subsidy. Subsidy is a good thing, but they say it's beatable with corruption. So instead of dealing with the corruption, we're running away from subsidy itself. So federalism, we have federalism. It's a good thing. It is working in several other places, but we have our own unique problems with our federalism. And instead of dealing with those problems, we want to run away again from federalism to regionalism with its own problems. Now, why not we sit down together and look at the federal system of government that we practice and try to tinker it, tailor it, to give us the dividends of democracy, to solve problems, economic problems, security problems, and all of that. We don't need, for instance, to go back to regionalism before we can talk about fiscal federalism before we can talk about resource control. In the US, their brand of federalism has settled and dealt with the issue of resource control and dealt with the issue of fiscal responsibility and fiscal federalism. But we don't want to deal with it. So the elephant in the room, for instance, is fiscal federalism. The elephant in the room is resource control. Deal with it. We are talking about running back to regionalism. We tried for a few years, they will run back to federalism. So I don't think running back to regionalism is the solution. It's to sit down and talk about how to tweak, tinker, develop, position, equip our federalism to deliver the dividends of democracy. I think that's my take on that.
So if we talk about, tinkering with the current system, which is federalism, I'm wondering what sort of reforms you are proposing that will help us to actually achieve true federalism and make the system work for Nigeria.
Now, I already gave one example. Okay, I'll reiterate it and maybe make one or two other examples. Now, in 1979, when we adopted the presidential system of government and the federal system of government side by side, we had a model. And the model we copied from is the United States of America. Now, federalism is actually dictated by the unique story, unique experiences of a particular state or nation state. We shouldn't or can't exactly have the same kind of presidential system or federal system like the US. There are other countries that practice federal system of government that have tinkered it to suit them. So, for instance, I spoke about the elephant in the room. In the US, there is resource control and fiscal federalism, where the state control their resources and make remittance to the federal government. But in our state, it's not like that. In our nation state, it's not like that. Every resource, every mineral resource, everything belongs to the federal government. So states have stopped being creative. They're not thinking out of the box anymore. They are now coming cap in hand to the federal government for handouts. So you see people running for governor who don't even have an economic plan. They don't even know what to do to position their states. But would you even blame them? Because why should they be having an economic plan when they don't even control the resources in their states to start with? So everything they're thinking about is how to, first of all, position themselves, win the election, position themselves to get handouts from the federal government. So let's start from there to say, okay, states in our federalism should control resources and make remittance to the federal government. What is stopping us from having state police? What is stopping us from having a unique system of jurisprudence where the states will even have state court of appeal and even state Supreme Court, where certain issues like customary issues, Sharia issues, will terminate at maybe I start a matter at the area court in Kano. There should be maybe Sharia court of appeal. Maybe they should have Kano State Supreme Court where such matters terminate. But do you know that matters that start from area court Kano gets to the Sharia court, court of appeal, then get to the court of appeal and come to Supreme Court in Abuja? Because we don't have judicial federalism, where states can have this system put in place to take care of their needs, economic needs, security needs, and financial needs. So these are the issues. I believe that if we are serious as a people, our legislators, the stakeholders to sit down together and tinker these aspects to suit our unique purpose and position our nation for productivity and success, not to run back to regionalism. So what exactly is regionalism going to give us that we can't tinker our federalism to give us? Can't we even cut down on, for instance, how expensive, or let me use the word luxurious, capital-intensive governance is? We can cut down on it. We don't have to run down or run back to regionalism. So this is what I mean when I say we can tinker our federalism, position it to serve us better than it's presently doing.
Well said. And what would be the process of re-establishing regionalism, legally speaking, since that is your area of expertise?
Well, you know, the thing is that we can quarrel with the 1999 Constitution all we want, but it's the grand norm now. Is the foundation. We exist. That is like our existence, a nation state or as a country, is hinged on that Constitution, imperfect as it is. You know, so whether we are tinkering with our federal system, as I've suggested, or going back to regionalism, as some persons have proposed, it still boils down to a constitutional amendment. You have to amend the Constitution, whether in piecemeal, holistically, but the process cannot exist outside the constitutional machinery of making law and amending laws. So it's not something that somebody's going to stitch together and just deliver to us. So our representatives in the National Assembly, in the State House of Assembly, the Constitution itself spells out how it should be amended. It spells out how the system of government will operate now. It's clearly spelled in the Constitution. So if you want to change the system of government, you want to change the structure of the country, you still have to go back, follow the laid down procedure of amending the Constitution, amend the relevant sections, and bring in either regionalism or any system of government that we agree on.
Legal practitioner first, Baba Isa, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.